Good afternoon, or rather good morning. Thank you for joining us. Millions of Americans have been working from home during the pandemic, but now that COVID restrictions are disappearing, many large employers are calling their workers back to the office. This week, Congress is considering ordering many federal employees to return as well. Scott McFarland is in Bethesda, Maryland, with more on that.
It's a telework Monday, not so bad across the metro area with overall lower travel volumes.
When COVID arrived, a mass migration to telework followed, including for federal workers.
I love it.
Valencia McIntyre Dubose, who for 23 years has processed benefits for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and helped the employee union, says she's never been more efficient now that she's working from home.
Me doing the telework, I get my work done faster and easier.
The number of U.S. government employees telecommuting has more than doubled since 2018. But in a vote later today, the U.S. House, now under Republican control, is pushing a plan to bring most federal workers back as the threat of COVID is receding.
Everybody should come back to the office and do what the American people have to do. Certainly, if you're a federal employee, the standard ought to be higher.
Many private businesses are already pushing workers to get back to the office most of the time, including Starbucks, Goldman Sachs, Disney, and Apple. The Republican chair of the House Oversight Committee argues backlogs at the IRS during tax season and slowdowns in processing Social Security checks and veterans benefits could be reduced if employees got back to the office.
As the rest of America went back to work in person, many federal workers did not, and the American people have suffered as a result.
Also weighing in are Democratic mayors of some major cities, including New York, San Francisco, Houston, and Washington, where telework has squeezed some local businesses and emptied downtown buildings.
America wins when the place where people come to join and change the world is buzzing.
But some Democrats in Congress are pushing back against the current bill.
We cannot enter a time machine and simply disappear the utility of telework in recruiting and retaining new generations of federal workers.
Advocates for the roughly 1 million teleworking federal employees say an end to telework could trigger a wave of retirements, resignations, and further backlogs.
The greatest benefit of telework is that it helps us attract and keep the best people possible to serve the public.
The U.S. House is expected to pass this bill to return telework to pre-pandemic levels along a party line vote today. The U.S. Senate is not likely to take it up at all, which will stall the plan, but House aides tell CBS News they expect to make this part of looming negotiations over keeping the government open later this year. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Bethesda, Maryland.
The White House has announced a new plan to fight the high cost of rent. Michael George explains how the proposal aims to help renters who are feeling the squeeze more than ever.
From small towns to major cities, the cost of rent is sky high, and it's taking a toll on millions of Americans.
When I first moved, I was paying about $1,300, so now I'm at $2,400.
While prices have crept down in recent months, a report by Moody's found the average renter is spending 30% or more of their income on rent. That's an all-time high. Wednesday, the Biden administration announced a plan for a non-binding Renters' Bill of Rights. It includes actions like asking the FTC and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to investigate unfair rental practices. The Justice Department will examine anti-competitive information sharing in rental markets. And HUD will look at a rule requiring public housing authorities to give tenants 30 days notice before terminating a lease due to non-payment of rent.
It's great to have the White House speak out about the importance of tenants' rights.
Seamus Roller is executive director of the National Housing Law Project, an advocacy group fighting on behalf of tenants. He calls the proposal a good beginning.
Is what the Biden administration proposing, does it have teeth? Will it actually help lower rents?
Nothing that they propose will lower rents overnight. Some of these things will have an impact over time.
Making the problem worse, many state and federal protections against evictions put in place during the pandemic are expiring.
We're not going to wait for a lawsuit to save us. We're not going to wait for incremental eviction protections to start saving us. That'd be great, but it's not coming fast enough.
Many tenants say if action isn't taken, they could be near the breaking point of losing their homes. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Choosing to go to college is a big decision. When you're a busy parent, making that choice can be even more difficult. EMCC's Communiversity has a program that can make that decision a lot easier. The Career Step at EMCC covers certain school expenses for students who are ages 18 to 59. One of those expenses is childcare. Keely Shields has more on it.
Career Step navigator Latrice Triplett understands what it means to be a parent first. At a young age, she left school to raise her son before going back to college and getting her degree. The STEP program offers many opportunities Triplett wishes she had when she was a student.
This type of program I didn't have any clue of. So now that I know what it provides and what it assists with going back to school, it gives me hope to help those that don't know.
The STEP program was created to cover the cost of short-term training such as workforce and career technical education courses. STEP is an extension of the program that the Three Rivers Planning and Development District handled for the last 3 years. Now it's being housed at the Communiversity's WIOA Center.
Anyone between the ages of 18 to 59 who has a dependent child under the age of 18. Doesn't matter whether you're the custodial parent or the non-custodial parent and everything. It's just that you have a child and you are seeking some type of assistance or support.
Greta Miller, Career Services Director at WIOA, says that they realized many people didn't know this program was out there, so they were trying to spread the word.
We have started a real big campaign since we came back from the holidays after the first of the year to get the word out that this program is available to the residents of the 4 counties that we can serve: Lowndes, Oktibbeha, Clay, and Noxubee.
Triplett says with opportunities like this, she hopes to inspire the people who are choosing their own paths.
Every person will be different, but I just want them to know that it's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late to start a new career goal if that's what it takes. It's just knowing that there's someone there that's willing to help and guide them along the way. It just warms my heart.
That was our Keely Shields reporting. Well, it was the only choice, rescuing his best friend. That story is ahead on Mid-Morning. All right, we're back. A deadly winter ice storm is gripping parts of the South. Accidents on slick roads killed at least 2 people Tuesday, and tens of thousands of people are without power. Texas got more snow than New York has seen all winter. 38 million Americans from Texas to Virginia were under weather warnings and advisories. Omar Villafranca reports from Memphis.
Here in Memphis, icy conditions led to a 12-car pileup on Tuesday. Police said 5 drivers were hospitalized, all with non-life-threatening injuries.
People are just taking it for granted that they can just stop and you can't. These roads are slick.
In St. Francis County, Arkansas, a similar scene. Ice sent 3 semi-trucks sliding off the road, slowing traffic on Interstate 40 to a crawl. It was so cold, even some of the transportation department's cameras froze over. There were hundreds of collisions across Texas as well, including a pileup in Austin that left 1 person dead early Tuesday morning. At Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, the winter blast was a factor, as more than 60% of flights were canceled, part of the nearly 2,000 cancellations nationwide. The cold forced Dallas resident Andrew Ventura to move some of his belongings into his truck, using it to keep warm and charge his phone after his apartment lost electricity.
Power outages have been pretty bad around here. It started last night and then it lasted throughout the night until about 4 or 5 a.m. Power kicked back on and then went back off a few hours later.
Despite thousands of outages across Texas, Governor Greg Abbott said there's not a threat to the state's power grid.
Local outages are not a reason to say that there is a problem with the power grid. The power grid is functioning just fine as we speak.
Dozens of school districts across the region are closed today because of the weather. In fact, Memphis is under an ice storm warning until at least tomorrow morning. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Memphis, Tennessee.
1 week after an EF3 tornado ripped through Deer Park, Texas, survivors reliving the terrifying moments include a Deer Park police officer who ran out mid-tornado to help rescue his K-9 partner. Take a look.
Ready to go work? This crime-fighting duo has been on the streets of Deer Park for nearly 6 years.
My best buddy, yeah.
And boy, do they have stories to share.
He's put himself in harm's way for me before.
So 1 week ago, Officer Joel Nitchman got his chance to do the same for his narcotics canine, Roni.
I'll never forget the noise. That's when I knew this was a big tornado.
The pair had just got back to the police station from training. When the wind started picking up, Roni was in his kennel in the squad car.
The thought of debris or the car flipping over, I couldn't do that to him. Couldn't have him out there during that.
Surveillance cameras capture Officer Nitchman run outside, lightning flashing, barely able to see in front of him.
I knew it was something bad when there was things hitting my face. I don't know what. I knew it was debris of some kind.
It was about to get much worse.
Once I went around the car is when all heck broke loose.
The wind and rain so strong he couldn't get Roni out.
I could barely open his door. When I did, he's a smart dog. He saw what was going on outside and he's like, I'm not coming out.
Officer Nitchman knew he had seconds to get back indoors. At one point, visibility down to 0 around him.
And I'm like coaxing him, like, come on, buddy, let's go.
Seconds later, the pair seen rushing back around the squad car towards the safety of the station. The front door nearly blocked by a fence that had been tossed around in the wind.
Never been through anything like that before.
1 week since that close call, that video has gone viral, and Officer Nitchman has been celebrated for choosing to put himself in harm's way to save his canine partner. But he says he did what anyone would have done, and he'd do it again in a heartbeat.
I love that dog. He's my hip attachment almost every day of the week. He's a part of our family. You can't leave a loved one like that. There was no way I was going to leave him like that. Oh, he's a good boy. He's a smart dog.
1 week later, the team back on the job after an experience.
I'm grateful that he's okay.
That only brought them closer together. In Deer Park, Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
All right, a greenish-looking comet that has been lurking in the night sky for months is expected to be the most visible to stargazers this week as it gradually passes Earth for the first time in about 50,000 years. The cosmic visitor, will swing by at a distance of about 26.4 million miles. Comets are composed of a solid core of rock, ice, and dust, and are blanketed by a thin and gassy atmosphere of more ice and dust called a coma. This comet last passed Earth at a time when Neanderthals still inhabited Eurasia. Big Ice Age mammals, including mammoths and saber-toothed cats, roamed the landscape at that time. Using binoculars during a clear night, the comet can be seen in the northern sky. On Monday, it appeared between the Big Dipper and the Polaris, the North Star. All right, recently, Yale University honored a scientist who is just 9 years old. Bobby Wilson is fascinated by bugs, but last year, her mission to catch spotted lanternflies captured national attention. Here's Bradley Blackburn with that story.
It has red and brown wings with black spots, and 9-year-old Bobby Wilson can tell you exactly what it is.
A spotted lanternfly.
Last fall, she learned about this invasive species in school and wanted to help. She found a bug spray recipe on TikTok.
I mixed water, dish soap, and apple cider vinegar.
She was using it outside her New Jersey home when a neighbor called the police.
A little black woman walking and spraying stuff on the sidewalks and trees. I don't know what the hell she's doing. It scares me, though.
Bobby's mom says it was racial profiling.
Those exact words in another town, another state, I could be grieving.
Yale University assistant professor Ijoma Opara heard Bobby's story and decided to take this young entomologist under her wing.
Oh yeah, Bobby belongs here. Bobby is Yale.
She invited Bobby to campus to meet scientists who look like her. On Friday, Bobby was back to see the first spotted lanternfly specimens added to the Yale Peabody Museum of Natural History collection. Those insects were gathered by Bobby herself.
How does it make you feel to know that these bugs are going to be in this museum?
Happy and proud.
A young girl who's flying high and now has the bug for a career in science. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New Haven, Connecticut.
Yale says Bobby is one of the youngest people to submit specimens to their collection for that group. All right, when we come back, a hot restaurant in the Windy City. Mid-morning, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. A restaurateur and former master sommelier is behind one of Chicago's hottest restaurants. Alpana Singh has been working in the industry for decades, mostly helping diners pick the perfect wine. But recently, she decided to cross into the kitchen. Adriana Diaz caught up with the self-described curator of all things delicious.
The vibe at one of Chicago's newest restaurants is fierce feminine energy.
Yeah, so we have Lady Gaga, Frida Kahlo, Madonna, Elizabeth Taylor.
Owner Alpana Singh is paying tribute to women doing things on their own terms.
I ordered 6 bottles so we can at least try it.
Which is exactly what the wine expert is doing at her aptly named Alpana.
The sommelier's job is to find the wine that best pairs with what the chef creates. But it was never our job to go into the kitchen. It was almost considered disrespectful. This didn't go yet, right?
But she's breaking industry rules, creating the dishes herself with confidence that came from cooking during quarantine.
My friends, they were like, wow, this is really good. You should put this on the menu.
Did it feel almost like you were not staying in your lane?
You know, I approached a couple of my friends about like, well, who's gonna be the chef? I'm like, we don't have a chef. And they thought I was crazy. But I think part of me really changed after the pandemic. I think we saw a lot of Americans that are like, you know what? It's either now or never.
The California native moved to Chicago 20 years ago with just a few boxes of books and clothes. And Rose, owning multiple restaurants and hosting the iconic Chicago restaurant show, Check Please.
Take us through, if you're going to Gogi, how should we order?
Are you recognized on the street?
I do get recognized. I always get check please.
She says her food was inspired, of course, by wine.
These Pinot Noir and mushrooms are like peanut butter and jelly. They love each other.
Dishes like the popular crispy polenta and mushrooms are comforting yet complex.
The mushroom,
it pops more.
Just kind of took over when
Correct.
I had the wine.
Then there's the delicate tuna crudo, meant to shapeshift based on the wine pairing.
And then go back with some of it still in your mouth.
Okay.
And then go with the Riesling. Creates this sensation of different flavors.
It's like waves of flavors, like the ocean.
Yes, where you don't know where the tuna starts and the wine ends. It's sort of a seamless pairing.
For your perfect pairing, Singh shared some sommelier secrets.
I love my guacamole and chips, but it's even better with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc because the Sauvignon Blanc acts like lime juice over the guacamole.
Because of the acidity.
The acidity, so it kind of brings it alive. And then with red wine, here's an easy tip. Turn the wine on its side. If you can see through it, then you can pair it with things like fish.
Singh was introduced to the restaurant world by her parents, ethnically Indian immigrants from the Fiji Islands. Her father was a dishwasher, her mother a server, and it wasn't a path they envisioned for her.
I will say that when I told my mom I wanted to become a master sommelier, she says, oh, I am so excited. So tell me, what part of the body does the sommelier specialize in?
What part of the body?
Yeah, she thought it was a medical specialty. I had to bring it to her that it was drinking.
Singh pursued a spot with the country's most prestigious and competitive wine organization.
So I thought, okay, well, this exam has a pass rate of 3%. Why not me? And I think that sentence right there is what launched my career.
Why not me?
Why not me?
All of the greats say why
not me?
She passed at just 26, becoming the youngest and first woman of color to earn the title Master Sommelier.
I got a lot of accolades for being young, and I'm very grateful for that. But let's face it, they don't hand out 40 over 40 awards. We live in a society that tends to focus and celebrate youth, particularly with women, and then we kind of disappear from 40 until about 80, and then we become a national treasure. So, there's a lot of work to be done between 40 and 80, and in fact, some of our best work.
She says her best work yet is at Alpana, which is not just her name, it's also her neighborhood.
How are you? How you feeling, Betty? You look great. Your son came in for dinner, your son and your daughter-in-law. But we see the color on it.
Now she's adding teacher to her plate with wine education classes for her staff.
I see my dad in all of their faces. I see my mom in all of our servers. Having a Barolo with a white flesh fish would not go.
That was one of the main reasons that I wanted to work here, the wine program and just Alpana herself.
Other women come up to me and I said, I read about your story, I heard about you, and I thought, wow, maybe I could do that. And this is how we start changing the face of what it means to have sort of a stereotypical, just one group doing a profession. It's because we all said, why not me? And decided to put ourselves in the ring. And that, I kid you not, it will mean something to somebody eventually.
Adriana Diaz, CBS News.
Coming up next on Mid Morning, one artist has the right touch. That story is next. All right, we're back. An artist who began losing his sight as a child has found a unique way to showcase his talent. Across the pond in Britain, he's using Braille to break down barriers. Ian Lee reports from London.
Clark Reynolds knows his way around an art gallery, but this is the first time the blind artist is displaying his own work.
Dots for people with low vision.
His Power of Touch exhibit in London features a color-coded Braille system using raised dots that visitors touch to decode messages.
Being able to touch it is really nice because you're so used to going to galleries and it's like don't touch anything.
But it's not just for those with vision impairment, it's for everybody. Sighted, unsighted.
Fireman read, yeah?
Reynolds was just 6 years old when he lost sight in his right eye, and over the years, he lost the rest.
When I learnt Braille 3 years ago, it was like, how can I make it accessible for everyone?
He's hoping to bring Braille into school curriculums and change perceptions of art while breaking down stereotypes about the visually impaired.
There's obviously many blind artists, in the world, but of course, how many of those are being able to be given a voice and to be recognised as a standalone artist?
For the viewer to step into my shoes, please look.
Reynolds encourages art lovers to try on special glasses to see what it's like to struggle with sight.
Identified by touch.
Proving in some cases, art is in the hand of the beholder. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Make sure you stay connected with us. We love to hear from you. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here next time.